Hello, in this video I will show you how we can use auto layout inside Figma and what are the different features available for creating prototypes or designs. So to get started, first question is what is auto layout? So it's a feature of Figma that is used to create auto adjustable or responsive designs or prototypes. So what do I mean by auto adjustable? So in this example, I have applied auto layout on this left side website. This is a kind of a prototype, just a dummy prototype. So for example, in this prototype, I delete this frame. So you can see that the rest of the content adjusted itself and I don't need to adjust it by layer. So this is how it's auto adjustable. And if I press Ctrl Z and I try to remove this frame, just for the picture, so you can see that the remaining paragraph and heading will also adjust itself accordingly. And what does responsive mean? So responsive means, for example, if I try to change the width of the prototype, you can see the images and the paragraphs, everything is trying to adjust itself accordingly. So this is how it's really useful and we can utilize it for our designs and prototypes. On the right side, I have an example in which like this is the old approach where we only created layers and we haven't applied auto layout. So to get started, I will zoom into this prototype, which doesn't have auto layout for now. And this is the older approach. So I will try to apply auto layout on this one so you can see how it's working, and you can also apply on the older prototypes or get started with. So the first thing I will do in this prototype, I will try to observe all the layers. So on the left side in the layer panels, you can see that these are the open layers. So some of them, like these buttons, only have applied auto layout on them. Other than that, everything is open to work upon or doesn't have any structure for it. So to get started, first I will select this header elements on the top and I will press Command Option and G, so it will create a frame. So on the left side in the layers panel, you can see that it created a frame 15, so I will call it header. And for the second one, I will go ahead and select these intro. I will call like this is a landing page and this is the intro for my website. So I will again press Command Option and G, so it will create a frame and I will call this intro. And now for the third option, I would go for the remaining section and I can call this accommodation. So I will press Command Option G once again and create a frame and I will call this accommodation. And for the last one, this can be called footer. So you can see that it's a rectangle layer and it's a text layer. So I will press again Command Option G and create a frame and I will call this footer. So now I have divided my prototypes into 4 different sections: header, intro, accommodation, and footer. And to get started with auto layout, I will select the first frame. And to create auto layout on the right side, you can see that I have this auto layout and plus icon. I can press this or you can press Shift plus A. So now your auto layout is created, but you can see that it disturbed the whole symmetry or the whole structure of our layers. So I will press Ctrl Z, and in layers panel I will go and select this logo. So my logo is simple one and just 2 lines. So I will press Command Option G and create a frame around it. So I will call this one logo. And I will select the remaining navigation items. So the navigation items are just text layers. So I will do the same for navigation. I will press Command Option and G, create a frame and call it nav. And the last one is the button. So I will call it just simple a button. So now I will select this header frame and press Shift plus A or press this plus icon. So now you can see that it didn't disturb it too much. And now to get started, first thing is that it's not expanded up to its left and right position, so it has lot of gap. So first thing is to do is to play with the width and the height resizing. So I would select the parent website. Once I have selected this parent frame, that is the website, like the whole prototype, so I will go to auto layout and press this plus icon. Now what it does is that the whole prototype is auto layout now, but it is not complete at yet because we have to fix a lot of things inside that. So first I would select the header. In header, in resizing option, I will go and select fill container. So what it means that whatever space you have to the left and right, just try to fill the whole container. So it will fill and show us the whole container expanded to left and right. So now what I can do is go into the headers, and in header I want to create another auto layout for navigation and logo. I have misspelled this nav, so I will call it nav, and I will select this nav and logo and press shift plus A once again. And in auto layout panel, you can see that we have different options. So the first option we have is vertical or horizontal direction. So for example, if I press this vertical direction, what it will do is create a space between, and the space between can be selected in this panel. So it is telling you how much space do you want between these two items. So for example, I will change the space to 20. So now you can see that the space between logo and the nav is 20. And now I want to change the direction to horizontal, so it will work like this. And on the right side of that, I also have alignment feature, which I will discuss later on. And the space between the nav and logo, for example, my spacing standard is multiple of 8. So for example, I'm just thinking loud and I will give it the value of 32 for now, or I will change it to maybe 64. Yeah, this is good now. And the last thing that I want to do is to move this contact button to the top right position of my header. So how can I do that? I will select this header, and in header panel, first I will try to define the space between items. So for example, the space between two items, so there are two items now. The parent is header, and then I have logo and nav, and then I have the button. So parent is header, and there are two child inside that. So I will select this header and I will press this three dot icons, and in spacing mode I would change it from pack to space between. So now you can see that it moves the contact button to top right position automatically. So this is the same as this flex box if you have used CSS, so it works the same manner. So I will close this, and now you can see that the space between the items is auto, like it's giving it automatically. And now for giving the padding from left and right, you can see that I can select a value from here. For example, I will give the value according to Bootstrap, it's 16, or maybe I change it to double spacing, and I just call it 24 from left and right. And from top and bottom, I will just go ahead and give it maybe 24 again. So now you can see that the padding between or from left and right, top and bottom is the same. But if you don't want to use this panel and you want to give the values by mouse, so you can just hold this handle over here, just hovering over the padding on the top left or right. So you can see that I have handles now, and I can increase or decrease for it. So if you just want to increase or decrease for top and bottom, so you can select option and just drag it out. So now it's just changing it for top and bottom. I will press Ctrl Z. And now if you just want to change it for the left and right, you can select the handle from left or right and just press option and try to change it. So now you can see that it's only changing for left and right. But what if I want to change for all the directions? So I will select this handle, hovering on it, and I will press option plus shift. So now you can see that with hovering, it's telling me that it's selected all the direction. And now if I zoom in, you can see that it's changing the padding for all the directions. So this is how you can utilize the padding inside auto layout, and it saves you a lot of time in coming future, and you can change or adjust your prototypes accordingly. So now my header is completed and I want to move to the intro section. So first thing that I want to fix in intro section is I will open the layers panel, and the top you can see that I have a line. So I will first remove this line, and after removing this line you can see that there is quite big space between the header and the intro section. So it's coming from the parent frame, that is the website. And in website you can see that the space between the items is right now 65. So I will go ahead and press 0 and press enter. So now we don't have any space between the child items of the website, that is header, intro, accommodation, and footer. So I will go to intro now, and intro I will press shift plus A, but before pressing that I will try to divide the sections accordingly, the same way I did it for the header. So for first I would do like I would just rename the layer to button. This is the button, this is the heading, and this is the paragraph. So I will select these three, and for this I will press shift plus A. So it's auto layout inside its parent item. So if you have different auto layouts, they are trying to override each other inside the parent item. So first one is I would just call it intro content, like it's the header, foot, paragraph, and just a button. And now I have a picture over here. So to play with the picture I will come back to this, but now I will go ahead and I will press shift plus A, or auto layout for intro section. And now you can see that it didn't disturb the prototype too much, and now I will adjust everything according to my standards. So the first thing on the auto layout section, you can see that the space between the two items, so it's 32, but according to bootstrap standards, like for example the space between the items is 24. And now the second thing I will change is the horizontal padding. So I will select the same standard and I will change it to 24 for this one. And for top and bottom, I will just go ahead and select 64, like this. So now the problem, you can see that the content is not filling the whole container right now, and this is a problem. So what I can do is from hug I will change it to fill container, so you can see that it will try to touch the left and right side. And now I will go ahead and I will change the inner items. So for the inner items, for first I will select this intro content and I will select fill container for this one, so it will try to push it to the right side and the left side as much possible. And the second thing, now I will play with the image. So to play with the image, the first thing we should do, the good approach, is to put it inside a frame. So I will press command option G and I will call this intro pic. And now what I can do is I can change it width and height accordingly. So for example, I just call it fill container, and for height I also call it fill container. So now the problem is you can see that it's not going inside the frame and it's going outside the frame, and you can see it on the bottom section. So if you press this clip content, it will not show the item which is going out of the box or out of the frame. So this is useful. The clip content is only useful if you don't want to show the specific things that are going out of the box. And now I will go ahead and select or change its height or width, just focusing on the area that I want to show in the picture. So in constant options, I have options to give the direction to this image, like if I'm scaling or trying to make it responsive, so where should this image remain on that side? Should it remain in the middle of this specific frame, or should it go on the top right? So I want it to be on the top right if I'm trying to make it responsive or changing the width of this prototype. Other options that we have for image is by clicking this icon, you can see that in options I can change it to fit. So it will try to fit inside the frame. and I can select crop, so I can crop this image, and I can select a tile, so the tile is taking its all width and height accordingly. So I will change back to fill this time, and I can also play with the exposure, contrast, and saturation. It's same as like Photoshop. You can change its values from over here, but I will not disturb the image itself. And the other thing that I can do is I can also try to create auto layout on this picture section. So I can press Shift plus A. It will change its height, so I will go ahead and select fixed height for this one and try to make it the same manner. Now you can see it like this. And now if I change the section, like we have 9 different options for alignment. So if I select this and I select it to be in the middle, so you can see that it's moving the picture according to the alignment that I have selected. So for example, I want it to be top right aligned all the time, so it will bring it to the top right. If I select the bottom and right, so you can see that it will select the bottom right section of that image. So this is how you can play with the auto layout and its inner content itself. So now if I want to see that, okay, what I have achieved so far, so I will try to change the width of this section. So now you can see that it's kind of auto adjustable, but the problem is the image is going, I would say, out of the form. So first I would select this intro picture again, and I want that to be in the middle section. So I will select this top center alignment, so this tower would remain in the same position all the time. So now let's check it. So now you can see that if I change the width of the prototype, it's always in the center. And the second thing is these layers or these paragraphs are not trying to change or fill itself. So the problem is I have selected this text layer, and in the text layer on the right side in the resizing section, you can see that it's saying fixed width. So that's why it's not trying to adjust itself. So I will change it from fixed width to fill container. And for the heading, I will follow the same, changing it to fill container. And now I will check the heading if it's in the same line. No, it was not. So yeah, so now I will go ahead and select this frame once again for the intro pic, and I want to give more section to my paragraph. So I will select this frame, and in this frame now I will change the width. So you can see that, for example, it was filled for the first time, but once I changed the width, so you can see that the resizing was changed to fixed, and it's giving the fixed width to this image. So I will just give it the width of 500 over here, and the remaining space will be for the content. So now if I select the website frame and try to change the width, so you can see that they are trying to adjust itself automatically, but still the heading is not trying to adjust itself. So I will go ahead and select this heading and change it to fill container. Now I will go ahead, select the website and try to change the frame. So you can see that it's trying to change, but the problem is that the heading is trying to override the paragraph now. So to fix this problem, I will select this intro content layer, and you can see that in the resizing section, the vertical resizing is fixed. So I will change it to hug content. So it means that try to hug all the content you have inside. So the problem is not fixed yet. So first I will go ahead and select this heading section and try to see what option is selected for the height over here. So it's fixed. So I will press this drop down and change it to hub contents. So now you can see that my problem is fixed, and it's trying to adjust all the content inside the intro content layer. Now if I change the width of this prototype, you can see that it's adjusting all the content automatically. So now my intro section is ready, and I have tried to explain the various options that are available in the auto layout panel. So I have explained the direction section, I have explained the space between, horizontal padding and vertical padding, and you can use this alignment, 9 different alignments. one option that is remaining that I want to show is if I zoom into this book now button and I select the button frame itself and I go to this three dots panel. In the stroke section, you can see that I have two different options. One is called included and the second option we have is excluded from layout. So for example, if I want to exclude the strokes from this frame section, so I can select this option and you can see that it excluded the pixels or the strokes that we have for that specific frame. So I have 4 pixels, and if I select the included option, so it included inside the button. And if I exclude it, so it tried to, so it is useful sometimes if you want to achieve some different things with strokes. So if you don't need the strokes, you can select the option from here. Now I will zoom out and move to the second section that we have. So in the accommodation section, I will open this frame and try to observe all the layers and try to divide it in the initial stage. So for example, I will call this first row of my section, accommodation section. So press Control and I try to draw a rectangle around that. So I will press Shift. So I will press Command Option and G, creating a frame, and I will call this content row, and inside content row I have like you can see the like section. So I will select these pictures plus this like kind of a label. So first I will only select this ellipses or the picture section and press Shift plus A, creating auto layout of it, and then I will select the visitor layout with that. And now I will press again Command Option and G, creating a frame. So this section itself is a frame now inside the row, and I will remove this line section because I don't need the border for now. I will add it later on. So for the picture section, I will create a frame again around it. So I will press Command Option and G, and I can call this one the right image, and this one I will call the left image. Okay, now I will select accommodation and I will press Shift plus A because all my layers inside this section are divided, and I'm ready to go with auto layout. So this is how it created it, and you can see that it disturbed all the layout because I haven't selected auto layout for the images. So I will press Ctrl Z and I will put this right image and left image inside another frame, or I can just call it a row of image. So now I will go ahead and press Shift plus A once again, and you can see that it did disturb the content too much. And I will select the spacing same as like 24 according to my standard, and from left and right I need 24 because the upper sections are the same as 24, and you can see that it's not expanding to left and right. So in the resizing section I will go ahead and select fill container, so it will fill the container itself. And now the sections inside are not filling the container. That's why you can see that the gap between these two items, or the parent item and the child item, is too much. So I will select these two child items, and from fixed I will change them to fill container. So now you can see that it has the same kind of padding from left and right as the upper content. So my padding from left and right is same, like 24 for all the sections right now. Now I will go ahead and try to fix this content row section. So on the left side, you can see that it's really aligned and everything was working fine. So I will follow the same structure, or I can just press Shift plus A to create auto layout inside another auto layout. So now you can see that it's auto layout and it's trying to adjust all the content, but I want to give a space to this accommodation section. So I can select a fixed width for this one, and 150 instead of 150. I would say, okay, this heading or label should have around 200 of a width, and this paragraph section should have a fill container value, so it should fill the container itself. It shouldn't rely on the parent item. And for the third one, that is the like section or the visitors, so I will call it visitors who has feedback or visited this place in Bali. So now you can see that they are not kind of on top of each other. So to bring them on top of each other, what I can do is select the frame, and I can call this avatars. So to create this random avatars, there are different plugins. So for example, one of the plugin is called avatars. You go to this resources section, you go to plugins, and over there you type avatar in the search panel and you press run. So once you press run, you can see that it will create an avatar. For example, I think it didn't create it. I'll go ahead and click outside this frame and press run. So now you can see that it created a random avatar. I don't know who is this person and where it's coming from, but it's generating a random picture for me. So this is how you can create a random avatars if you want to use in the prototype. And now coming back to my avatars, so the first thing I will do is give the spacing in minus. So now you can see that they are coming on top of each other, and I can play around, like I can give the value of -12 according to my standards. Another option that is available to stack them is I would go to these three icons, and over here I can change it, the canvas stacking from last to top to first to top. So now you can see that the first picture came on the top and the last one went on the bottom. So it depends on your goal, what you want to achieve with this specific functionality. The other thing is that I want to align this 100K with my avatars. So now you can see that it's really in front and middle of this avatar section. So what I can do is I can press Shift plus A on this visitor section, creating an auto layout, and I can select the option of bottom left alignment. So this is how it can align. But the other thing that we can do is I can go ahead and I can select the option of text align base alignment. So what it does is it align the text, like the bottom section, with the avatars, but there is lot of spacing with this specific layer because my line height is auto right now. So I will change the line height from auto to 0. So now you can see that my text is completely aligned with my avatars, and there is a kind of 2 pixel stroke around my pictures. So it's aligning with those strokes and it's completely aligned now. And in visitor section, I can also decrease the space between this section. So I will take it to 24, standardizing it. So this is how I have fixed my section, just the top row. I will try to check it. So I will click this website and change the width and try to see. Yeah. So this is responsive now, but the problem that I want to fix is there is too much spacing between this content row. So I will change the spacing from 125 maybe to 64, and now you can see that the spacing is removed in that section, and we have saved lot of height for our prototype. And now I will go ahead and move to this images section and try to fix them. So to fix them, first I will select the frame. I will call this images, and I will select the value of fill, so it's fill. And in fill section, I will press Shift plus A creating auto layout, and the space between the items should be 24. And now if I want to give them the value that there should be a space between them and they should move to left and right all the time, so in spacing mode I will change it from to pack to space between, or I can select this box, specific box, and I can press X. So with X you can see that it's changing the mode and the icons or the values from pack to space between. So this is a shortcut that you can learn by pressing X. You can play around with that. And the space between is auto now. And I will give more of breathing space to the right image. So I will select the frame and change the width from 800 maybe to 900. So I can put the value over here, and in the image I will select the image itself and I try to see that it's in the fill. Yeah, it's the fill. And now I will press shift and try to change the value, bringing it to the frame. So now you can see that it's inside the frame. And in constraints panel I will tell this image to be on the top right all the cell, or I can say that to scale once your frame or the parent frame is scaled out, so it will scale according to its parent frame. Or the good thing I can do is from the left and right I can select to scale it to left and right, so it will scale it to left and right. And for top and bottom I will select the value of top and bottom. So it's little confusing, but let me explain it once again once I'm trying to resize it. And for this specific left image I will change the value, maybe try to see and observe that how I can change the value. Okay, so now I think it's better looking, but the problem is the footer is near. So how I can fix that, I will go ahead and select this accommodation section, and from the top and bottom you can see that I haven't given the value, so I will select my standard, that is 64, and move it out. And for right image section I will clip the content so it doesn't show the values or the picture outside the frame. And I will do the same for the left image, clip the content inside. Now it's working fine. And I will select this website section and try to resize it. So now you can see that it's resizing, but the problem is the second image, like this one, is not changing its value. And this is because that the right image has a fixed width. So I will change it to fill container. So now you can see that the image inside that is trying to occupy the space from left and right, and it's adjusting itself accordingly. So this is how, so the left image will remain the same all the time, but the right image will adjust itself inside the box. So this is how you can play with the constraints panel. So I will go ahead and for constraint panel for the right image, I will change the constraint from left and right to, I will just say it to the right. So from the top, I'm saying to be on the top, and on the right, just to be on the right. So now if I change the width of the prototype, you can see that it always remain on the top right of the specific frame. It's not changing because in the constraint, we changed the value for it. So I will go ahead and select the rectangle or the image itself again. And from the left and right, I will select the value of left and right. So now if I resize it, you can see that it's scaling the image the same way as it works in the CSS background, like you can call it background position as a cover. So it tries to cover the whole section from its parent frame. So in the auto layout section, I have explained spacing mode, strokes, canvas stacking, how we can use that, and the text based alignment. So these are the features that we can use with the auto layout for our prototyping. And now coming to the last section, that is footer. So the footer is, I will expand, and I have rectangle, and I have this Bali holiday text layer. So if I press shift plus A, Now you can see that it automatically removed the rectangle section, and it was because that it applied the same color to the fill section. So if I press Ctrl Z, you can see that I don't have a fill right now and it's just a frame. But if I press Shift plus A, creating auto layout, so you can see that it changed the rectangle layer to the fill section automatically. And now to explain the adjustment section once again, so you can see that I can select the values. So first I will remove this horizontal and vertical padding. So I will press 0, and I will call this section to fill the container. And now I want the content to be in the middle, so I can select different values. And from the top and bottom, I want the spacing to be 12 according to the standards. And if I want to keep the text layer in the middle all the time, so I can select this center alignment, and you can see that it will always remain in the center. For example, if I change the prototype width, so you can see that it's adjusting and it always remain in the middle of the prototype. So this is how auto layout is really useful, and it saves you a lot of time. The only thing remaining is, if I compare to this left prototype, is the stroke section. So to apply that, the stroke section, I will go to this intro layer or my auto layout frame, and I will apply a stroke, creating this plus, and I just want to apply it on the top, and now just want to apply it on the top border. So I will select this top section only, and now you can see that it applied the stroke but only on the top. So I will also select this accommodation section and press this plus icon, and instead of all directions I will just select the top, so it only applied on the top of that specific section. So this is how you can really use this auto layout sections for all your prototype and designs and save a lot of time. And now if you want to see how it's adjustable, so I will do it again and try to remove a section. For example, I remove this accommodation section, so the rest of the prototype will adjust itself. So in future, if you have some different requirements and that specific section was not required, or maybe this image is not required, or the project managers or the stakeholders says that please remove this image from this prototype, so you can just remove it like this and try to show them and try to take feedback. So it's really time saving and auto adjustable and responsive in this manner. So if you have any questions about auto layout inside Figma, please leave your comment in the comment section. Thanks for watching.